Alright, so here is a very interesting play that's being produced in Edinburgh. And very, very unique. Very timely, considering that this is Edinburgh, but at the same time very unique. So, the title of this article is JK Rowling Edinburgh Play. Producers brace for protests over a story that imagines trans rights row between author and Harry Potter stars. And for those who are unaware, JK Rowling is a unapologetic, hardline TERF, and because she's such a big TERF, she's also transphobic. And as the days go by, she gets more and more insane. Like I said in a previous video, this woman needs therapy. Because I think that her issue stems from hating males. I want to say just hating men, but I'm unclear as to her feelings about trans men. What little I've seen implies that she has a problem with trans men as well, because her problem is with the penis and testosterone, which, well, technically women produce testosterone as well, just not as much as males. So yeah. So let's just get right to the article. The producers of a buzzy Edinburgh Festival play about J.K. Rowling's trans views are preparing for protests ahead of the show opening next month. Oh, and just as an aside, if you do go see this play, I would love to know if it lives up to the hype. Because a lot of things that freak people out, you go see it and you're like, what's the fuss? I fail to see why people are losing their shit over this. So I would love to know what people think of this play if you go see it. Penned by Joshua Kaplan, a Hollywood writer whose credits include HBO's Tokyo Vice, TERF imagines a confrontation between Rowling and the stars of Harry Potter over her views on transgender rights. And the stars did Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint all have come out and basically are pro-trans rights. So, the production is topical given Rowling's near-daily pronouncements and hardened rhetoric on how trans rights have come into conflict with women's rights. I still don't see how those are separate, but okay. Her posts on X, once Twitter, have put her further at odds with Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint in recent months. And Kaplan sees TERF as a family conversation between loved ones with differing views. So, okay. And yes, she started off as being, saying transphobic stuff, but she's gotten more and more extreme as the years go by. It's like the fact that people are pushing back on her instead of her taking the criticism in, maybe because she's spending way too much time on Twitter, because that place is toxic. But instead of learning from what people are saying, she's just doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. In the real world, there have been public exchanges between Rowling and the Harry Potter stars as recently as this year. In April, Rowling accused Radcliffe and Watson of being cozied up to a movement intent on eroding women's hard-won rights. Radcliffe told The Atlantic that he was saddened by Rowling's stance. Now, let's just think about how, she obviously must have had some deep-seated trauma, and she has mentioned that she's been abused, sexually abused, which again has nothing to do with trans women. And she wrote a bunch of books, and amongst the magic that was available to these witches and wizards is the ability to transform into someone else, whether it be just a different form or a different gender. So you would think that someone who's okay with that would, be fine with trans people, but apparently not. And she must have had something in her already, because if I've been exposed to plenty of transphobic crap, it's not swaying me, not because I'm stubborn and refuse to accept facts or whatever transphobes think is happening. It's that I actually know facts. And so you're not convincing me of crap that I know is not true. So, moving on. Staged by veteran Edinburgh Festival fringe producers and Civil Disobedience, TERF, an acronym for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, usually deployed in a pejorative context. You just said that what the acronym means. How is it not pejorative in any context? I mean, it says right there that they're anti-trans. I just don't see how that could be construed as anything but pejorative. Had to change venue from St. Stephen's Theatre to the Assembly Rooms amid concerns over the controversy the play was attracting. That's fair. Of course, I'm sure if people could, they would review bomb this to hell. That is the conservatives, because obviously they're afraid of ideas, afraid of talking. Barry Churchwoods, the co-founder of Civil Disobedience, said that the team is now putting security and other measures in place for protests. He told Deadline that they anticipate audience members could attempt to disrupt the play as it is performed. So that's great. We expect that most people, if they're intending on disrupting what we're doing, that will happen in an auditorium of the theater. We have processes in place that are going to deal with that, said the producer, who had previously worked on Edinburgh shows with the likes of RuPaul's Drag Race star Courtney Act. Security will be on hand to manage any disruption, but Churchwood said Edinburgh audiences can be good at self-policing. They shut it down quite quickly, he explained. If someone feels compelled to disrupt the performance, I'm hoping they'll at least give it a moment to start so they can see the work. Considering that people are already losing their crap over this, probably not. But given the colorful nicknames that the Scots gave to Trump after he so happily told them that they voted for Brexit. Yeah, the UK as a whole did, but Scotland in particular did not. So yeah, they were having a really good time with him. So I could just imagine that they're not going to take a disruption of a play that they paid good money for. No, I just don't see that happening. There have already been protests online, with Church Woods and others receiving abuse from those who think that the play is a roast of Rowling. Because, actually waiting to find out details, well, we can't do that. That would require actually, having patience and, waiting to see what happens and dealing with facts. We can't have that now, can we? If they cared about that, they wouldn't be this hateful. The producer said his mother had been targeted by trolls. What the fuck? Okay, it's one thing to attack the person doing the thing, but attacking family members? Seriously, what? After Breitbart, of course, the far-right news site wrote that Kaplan is a queer-identifying screenwriter and fascist who belongs to the woke Gestapo. Okay, those are words. Seriously. Okay, so much to unpack here. First off, again, why are you attacking his mother? You should then be attacking the person who's the fascist. That is how these things work. I mean, when Democrats attack certain Republicans for being fascist, we attack them. We don't attack their family. Well, maybe some Democrats do because they're just pathetic losers themselves, but for the most part, no, we attack the target of our ire, not around them. And queer-identifying screenwriter, okay. Number one, what's wrong with that? Even if he was. I don't know this person, so I have no idea if that's true. But even if it was, so what? And fascist. Yeah, I realize that log cabin Republicans exist, but, most gay people aren't fascist because, well, fascists hate gay people, so, yeah. And woke Gestapo? What the hell is that? Do we know what words mean? Because I would love to know if these people know what woke means. Hell, I wonder if they know what the Gestapo was. Because I'm pretty sure that they don't know it was the East German, well, actually at the time German, secret police. I fail to see how... What? Like I said, these are words. Strung together, I don't think they make any sense, but they're words. Church Woods added that TERF cuts to the heart of the issues within the first two scenes, meaning that any preconceived ideas about Rowling being a pantomime villain should be dismantled early in the production. Which is good, because as rotten as her views are, like I mentioned before, this woman needs therapy. It stems from her fear of males because of what was done to her. The problem is that she is so hung up on male that she doesn't grasp that just because it has a penis doesn't make it scary and evil. And trans women are just that. They do not see themselves as, I mean, obviously they're males, but what she doesn't seem to understand is that there are gay males. They would have absolutely no interest in sexually abusing any woman. And there are trans women who happen to be gay. after they transition. Yes, there are trans women who are lesbians. There are trans women who are straight. How do straight trans women fit into her worldview? Because they are males. They're biological males who happen to like men. So, again, would have absolutely no interest in using a woman's bathroom just to attack women, because that doesn't even remotely interest them. I just don't see how this worldview works. Which, the only thing I can think of is that, now, obviously she knows gay people exist, because after the fact, she just threw out that Dumbledore is gay. I guess she figured that she wasn't being inclusive enough, or she was just preparing people for the fact that, you know, that she's going to come out as a raging transphobe. I don't know. But that was just so out of left field. So she knows gay people exist. So why is she assuming that trans women are just pervy men, when there are plenty of trans women who are attracted to men? I just, Kaplan denied that TERF is a hit piece on Rowling. The idea for the play percolated in his mind during the pandemic, which is kind of when she went off the rails, actually. When Rowling first started tweeting about trans rights. Yep, like I said, that's when she went off the rails. He wants it to be a nuanced exploration of her views, which he sees as the antithesis of reductive social media conversations. Well, that is true. I mean, social media is not good for philosophical debate. I mean, I'm sure there's some sites out there, but Twitter isn't one of them. I mean, you can't have a long-winded debate with 180 characters. So, that is true. And like I said, there is something deep-seated in Rowling. I don't know if it's a fear or a hatred of males in general, or she just never got over her attack. I honestly don't know. But there is something that, like I said, she needs therapy, because there is something about her past trauma that she has not gotten over. Because she just keeps harping on women being attacked because they insist that all trans women are men in dresses. Which, number one, what's wrong with men in dresses? And number two, no, that's not what trans women are. You're confusing them with drag queens or cross-dressers, but not trans women. So, Kaplan acknowledges that the original title of the play, and this is where things get problematic, TERF, C, and 3 asterisks after it, which, let's face it, it's cunt. I have no problem saying that word. It's TERF cunt, which, granted, that's how Rowling is acting right now, like a cunt, but, did not support this ambition for nuance, so the C word was dropped. It was a misstep, he said. Okay, now, if your whole idea is to have a nuanced conversation about how JK Rowling started at one point questioning trans women, and notice she never says anything about trans men, it's amazing. There are seriously people out there who don't even realize trans men exist. And I will go on a tangent in a second. But, so, there is a conversation to be had. Just like I've done this with, I'm blanking on her name, but she was in The Mandalorian, and she got fired for being a twat. But, so there is room for explaining things and not jumping down someone's throat the second they say something wrong. Absolutely, that probably does not help. However, TERF cunt doesn't, if your idea is to do a nuanced take on this whole saga, who the hell even considered TERF cunt for a second as a title? How long did this title last before someone's like, that doesn't really match what we want to do? I mean, if that's what your idea was from the get-go, cunt should never have made it onto the page. But anyway, time for a tangent about people not thinking trans men exist. So, I was watching this video by the click. I believe he was dealing with, the subreddit, Trauma Them Back, I believe it's called. So, there was this woman, and, actually, scratch that, trans man. I'm slowly remembering this as I'm talking. So, a trans man. But, for whatever reason, so she was at a wedding. I believe it was her brother or some family member. I think it was a brother. And he had to use the restroom. And he had always used the women's room. Simply because, I don't know, because he was used to getting kicked out or people being scared or, I don't know. There was something about him using the correct restroom that just wasn't an option for him. So he went into the women's room. So, oh wait, it was her, I think it was her sister, and I honestly don't remember the relations here. But so he went into the restroom that he felt comfortable in, or that he felt he needed to use, or whatever. And so the bride's sister, I believe, saw a man going into, let me see, how did that work? Yes, saw a man going into the women's restroom and freaked out and just went off on him about a man using the women's restroom. And he just went off on her back, telling her how he bleeds out of his pants just like her, and that the only reason he's using the women's restroom is because most places people don't feel comfortable with him using the men's restroom or something. And she was just totally taken aback because it never occurred to her that trans men exist. She's always been taught that trans women are just men in dresses. And she saw a man who wasn't even trying to pretend to be a woman, using the women's restroom. It is just bonkers. And, so yeah. Of course, this sister and I think her boyfriend left after this happened. And the bride and groom were thrilled that this happened because it needed to be done. But anyway, back to the article. The writer, whose other credits include Designated Survivor, explained, to understand the meaning behind why the thing is titled what it is, you have to see the play. If you just take the title on its own, you can make a lot of assumptions that are not borne out. Having that C word in there was muddying the waters and wasn't achieving the purpose I intended it to achieve. Now, the only thing I can think of is that this is a Hollywood writer, Hollywood producer. So I wonder if the writer was Scottish, because I know in the UK they're freer with using the word cunt. So, or like I said, how that word got in there is mind-boggling, because even in the UK, cunt is not a good word. Granted, it's not, doesn't have the connotations that it has in the States, because it's not specific to women. Men can be cunts. Actually, when Rishi Sunak left the D-Day services early just to do an interview, journalists called him a cunt. So it's fine. But so yeah. Yeah, cunt doesn't have the connotations in the UK that it has in the US. But either way, if this is meant for more than just the UK audience who understand what it means for them, if it's just for UK audiences, I could see. But if you want to have it end up going beyond the UK, that's a problematic word. All right. So, her rehearsals began on Monday with the cast gathering for the first time to work with Kaplan's 80-minute script. Rowling will be played by Laura K. Bailey, a Texan actress who is 15 years younger than the Harry Potter author, but has mastered her Gloucestershire accent. Okay. Piers Mackenzie features as Radcliffe, while Trelawney Keane and Tom Longmire star as Watson and Grint, respectively. A trans actress also features in the play, but she has not been identified amid fears she will become a target for abuse and doxing. And how sad is that? I mean, the whole point of this play is to discuss why people have the views that they have, and potentially, I don't know, obviously they're not going to reform JK Rowling in the play, but at least hopefully arm themselves with a better way to get her to, I don't know, be less of a cunt. But, and so they have a trans actress. I think they said actress, yes. Trans actress, but they're afraid to identify her. And given how people are already losing their minds, and it's always the right wing who's losing their damn minds. It's sad, but it makes sense. I mean, yes, the right-wingers would actually target her, which is very, very sad. And also ironic, because if trans women were as scary as the right wing tries to portray them, then doxing and abuse should literally not bother trans women, because they should, in theory, be stronger than that. The fact that they're not tells you that maybe your idea of trans women aren't right. Kaplan and Church Woods deny British media reports that TERF has struggled to assemble a cast, but they acknowledge that some agents were wary about putting actors forward for the play. Again, understandable, they knew the shitstorm that was about to happen, because people suck. Church Woods' theory is that the upcoming Harry Potter TV series could be a reason for the reticence, because it is likely to be a major employer of British actors. Rowling is involved in the Warner Brothers Discovery series, which recently named Francesca Gardner and Mark Mylod as showrunners. Kaplan is doing his best not to drive the cast crazy with constant line changes, but said Rowling's daily tweets, such as agreeing to meet the new Prime Minister Keir Starmer, have meant that changes have been necessary to the script. Wow, she tweets more than Trump. That's got to be a record. Wow. He added that the play deals with the hardening of Rowling's vitriol towards trans women, charting her psychological evolution. Like I said, she started off just saying some transphobic shit, and because people pushed back, she didn't accept that, and she just got worse and worse. For example, Rowling has repeatedly misgendered trans TV presenter India Willoughby in recent months and called her Himdia Still a Boy. She also appears to favor the phrase trans-identified male, whereas previously, such as her infamous 2020 essay, she used the term trans women. So she's finding more and more ways to be more and more of a cunt. And yes, I'm going to keep using that word, because just saying that she's a dick, well, no, I'm not going to do that, because obviously she's afraid of those. So, but still, how sad is your life? I mean, she wrote this beloved children's series. People loved her for it, and her existence is so sad after that instead of enjoying her riches, being a philanthropist, I mean, she used to say some really cutting things against douche nozzles, but now all she can do is be transphobic. It's one thing if that was one part of her personality, but that has become her entire personality. I mean, obviously, her transphobia would have been horrible, even if that was only a part of it. But the fact that she's made it her only personality trait, even though she did a great thing with Harry Potter, like I said, she's had way too much time sitting at home, stewing over her abuse, and it's just, yeah, like I said, this woman needs therapy, or just to touch grass, one of the two, or both. All right. And again, about the trans-identified male, or as instead of using trans women, that tells you, as if it didn't before, it tells you that she does not think that trans men exist. I do not know why this is so hard for trans folks. Now, I get that they are scared shitless of, of this boogeyman that they've created about trans women. Okay, fine. Not true, but alright, fine. But seriously? No, nothing for trans men? You don't even acknowledge their existence? What, are you afraid that that's going to make your whole house of cards fall down? Seriously, why are we ignoring trans men? Obviously, I don't want hate towards trans men, but Rowling is aware of TERF, having made references to it on Twitter, I'm sure she did, but has not said anything substantive about the play. Lawyers have cleared Kaplan's script, and the writer is confident that Rowling will not attempt to censor the work because it is small fry, and because of her well-known views on artistic freedom of expression. Yes, Elon Musk also has a well-known view of being a free speech absolutist until he isn't. So, I wouldn't put it past her if she doesn't like the play for whatever reason, and I'm sure her right-wing echo chamber will make some shit up about the play regardless of what it is, and she's gonna go off half-cocked. And the fact that it's small fry. You know, my channel is a small fry. I went after Matt Walsh for his What is a Woman documentary. And I got seriously attacked by the Daily Wire. And I'm just a small fry. So that's not an excuse. I mean, granted, there were people who acknowledged that, what the hell? Why are you going after a small channel? But, you know, when you are so, even though the vitriol is there, but you are so, you don't, your views are so fragile. Your views are so fragile that you have to attack any dissent. Because if you do not, that is somehow, that might make you think that maybe you're wrong about stuff. And we can't have that. Now, can we? So, TERF has drafted in the support of Canberra Overend, an Emmy-nominated producer on Tokyo Vice and co-founder of SRO Productions, which had a first-look deal with Amblin Partners. She will be on the ground in Edinburgh, helping the production make its mark, having collaborated with Kaplan in the past. He's an incredible, witty, sharp, hilarious writer, Overend told Deadline. On the controversy around the show, she added, "I don't worry about that as I don't think it's politically inflammatory," which is kind of ironic given the kerfuffle around this. You know, it might not be politically inflammatory, but obviously the right wing does not give a shit because that would require being factual and level-headed, and they're none of those things. Despite the change of venue, they never received an official explanation after they were thrown out of the St. Stephen's Theatre, even though earlier on the article they said it was because of potential protests. So I guess that's them speculating? Churchwood said early demand for tickets has been ahead of tracking for most Edinburgh shows. TERF opens on August 1st and runs through August 25th. Kaplan said he would like the show to transfer so it can run longer, having had to kill darlings in his script for the Fringe version. "It's shorter than I would like it to be. I can't have any technical stuff and it's bare bones," he said. Kaplan added that he is open to future screen adaptations, but has given it little thought. So I assume that means that, that in the parlance of movies and TV shows, that a lot of the stuff he wanted to have in there ended up on the cutting room floor. And that he would like a longer run so he could, you know, shake it up and add some stuff in future runs, is my understanding. So that is the end of that article. So yeah, like I said, I'm very curious. If you go to Edinburgh in August and you watch this play, I would love to know your thoughts. Is it as level-headed as it's being made out to be and not vilifying Rowling? Or is it just incredibly dull and not worth the hype at all? Or are the right-wingers right and it is inflammatory? I would love to know more about this play. Would I want to watch it? Probably not, because I don't know if my blood pressure could take it. But yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in watching this play, I would love to know your thoughts as to how the subject matter is handled. I believe that is all I have for this video. So with that, I will see you guys in the next one.